The story opens with a party at the Lister's house, but Nick is absent. For months, Rafaela and Will have been sending him away for work, hoping to create some distance between him and Noah. Meanwhile, Noah is struggling. It has been nearly a year since his father passed away, and the weight of that day still lingers in his mind. Out of nowhere, Nick unexpectedly shows up earlier than anticipated, planning to surprise Noah. His arrival catches everyone off guard and doesn't sit well with his parents, but it doesn't stop Nick and Noah from reuniting with warmth and affection. In a gesture of love, Nick gifts Noah a necklace, telling her that it symbolizes his heart and asking her never to break it. What follows are moments of passion and intimacy between Nick and Noah as they find ways to be together whenever and wherever possible. However, things take a turn during a conversation between Lion and Nick. Lion reflects on how much things have changed, how everyone is growing up, heading to different universities, and how work and life are leading them down separate paths. The harsh reality becomes clear. Distance can break even the strongest bonds. Sometime later, the girls graduate, and we see Lion visiting his brother in prison. It turns out his brother got into trouble, and now their shared workshop is falling apart. Since they still need to send money to their mother, Lion decides that the best option is to shut down the workshop. However, Luca disagrees and insists he'll find a way to fix things. Meanwhile, Noah's family gifts her a stunning purple car, which she takes out for a spin with Nick for the first time. Nick then takes her to an apartment his grandfather gave him and tells her he doesn't want to return to San Francisco for work. Instead, he suggests they move in together since the apartment is close to their university and they wouldn't have to be apart anymore. Of course, Nick uses his persuasive methods to convince her, but Noah says she's still too young to make such a big decision. Noah reveals to Nick that she plans to move into a dorm at the university, a detail Nick hadn't known about. This leads to a small argument between the two. Later, Rafaela takes Noah to Nick's new apartment at the university, where she meets Briara, his new roommate. Briara had previously studied at the same school as Nick and Noah, but had taken a sabbatical about 2 years ago, which is why they never knew each other. Meanwhile, Nick meets a kind woman named Sophia at his office. Sophia, the daughter of a very important minister, has been hired to assist Nick with his legal work. However, it soon becomes clear that this is part of a plan orchestrated by Will and Rafaela to separate Nick and Noah. In the next scene, Rafaela confronts Noah, accusing her of perpetuating a bad reputation. She says that people already believe Noah got involved with Will for his money, and now being with Nick would ruin their image forever. Noah simply responds that she loves Nick regardless of what people think, but Rafaela gives her an ultimatum, saying such a relationship will not be possible under her roof. After their conversation, Noah decides to move to the university earlier than planned. Upon arriving, she discovers that Briara threw a party at the apartment because she thought Noah wouldn't be arriving for another week. Eventually, they talk, and Noah learns that Briara had once tried to take her own life. However, Briara reassures her that it's all in the past, and there's nothing to worry about. Now, just then, Michael walks in to grab his jacket. Michael is the neighbor who is also at the party, and coincidentally, he's studying psychology at the same university and doing his internship there. Meanwhile, we see that Lion's brother has been released from prison, and Ronnie, who's seeking revenge, is also around. But that's not important right now, because Nick is spending time with his little sister Maggie when suddenly their mother shows up to visit him. The problem is that Nick had lived for years without seeing his mother, and now he has no interest in hearing what she has to say because she abandoned him a long time ago. Noah comforts him about this, and they share their usual romantic moment. The next day, Noah gets upset with Nick because he left a hickey on her neck, something she can't stand. As revenge, she draws several designs on his body with a permanent marker, including one that says, "You're mine," on his forearm. Noah then takes Nick to her apartment, where they run into Briara. It turns out she knows Briara very well, and they both pretend not to recognize each other. Nick leaves the apartment, only to get a call from Lion on his way out. Lion has gotten involved in a drug problem because of his brother, and now has to go to a shady bar to deliver a package of drugs. At first, Nick doesn't want to go with Lion, but when he sees that Lion enters alone, he can't stand it and decides to take the risk. Nick enters the bar, and right behind him, Noah arrives because Lion had also informed her. Inside the bar, they encounter Ronnie's brother, who tells them that his brother will soon take revenge on them for what they did. However, Noah is not scared and tells him she'll be waiting for him. Then, Ronnie's brother seems to try to trick them and refuses to pay them for the drugs delivered. As the only way to escape, Noah decides to start a fight so they can get away. During the altercation, Ronnie's brother tries to stab Nick, but Noah saves him. In the end, they are all arrested by the police. Later, Nick contacts Sophia, who comes to their rescue. Nick asks her not to tell her father about the incident. On her way back home, Noah asks Nick to take her to adopt a cat. She names it Ian and brings it back to her university apartment, where Briara is. Meanwhile, Briara interrupts a romantic moment in a very uncomfortable way. The next day, she tries to encourage Noah to get involved with Michael. On the other hand, Jenna talks to Lion and asks him not to do any more foolish things for money. Later, when Noah returns home, she finds Briara talking to none other than Annabelle, Nick's mother, who has come to speak with Noah. Even though Noah doesn't want to hear her out, Annabelle tells her that this is her last attempt to get closer to her son. She says she just wants to tell Noah the truth and gives her number in case she's ready to talk. Before leaving, she asks Noah if she knows how long her mother and she will have known each other. That same day, Noah decides to go home, where she finds Nick having dinner with Sophia and her parents. Rafaela clearly invites her to stay to annoy her. During dinner, they talk about setting Nick up with Sophia, which upsets Noah a lot, and she reveals that Nick had asked her to move in together. Noah storms off, and Nick follows her to the cemetery because it turns out that today is the anniversary of Noah's father's death. There, Noah asks Nick to confess if he has something going on with Sophia, which Nick strongly denies. However, she angrily tells him that she doesn't trust him, and knows that deep down, he doesn't really want them to move in together. In the end, Noah tells Nick that she's going to wait and see what happens next. As the story continues, we see Noah inviting Annabelle to the Lear mansion, where she tells Noah that she fought for custody of Nick, but was forced to give him up due to threats and blackmail. It is revealed that Grandpa Lear doesn't care much for his daughter, but he adores Nick because Nick is his heir. While Noah is trying to process all these revelations, Annabelle seizes the opportunity to take Will's toothbrush and places it in a plastic bag. She then asks Noah to give a letter to Nick, in which she has revealed the entire truth. Later, Will tells Nick that Annabelle has separated from her husband and will most likely become homeless. Meanwhile, Noah tries to leave the letter Annabelle wrote for Nick at his office, but Sophia discovers it. However, Sophia keeps it a secret, but Nick realizes the letter is from his mother, tears it up, and says he has no interest in reading it. That night, Nick and Noah go out for dinner, and Nick shows Noah that he has turned the "you're mine" phrase, which Noah had previously written on him with a marker, into a permanent tattoo. Noah isn't too pleased with this, but Nick says he doesn't regret it. They share a romantic moment, but it's soon disrupted when Nick tells Noah he has to travel to London with Sophia for a few days to work on a case. Suddenly, Noah turns poetic and says that honesty is often overrated because some truths are far too complicated. He adds that being an adult isn't just about doing what you want, but knowing what you should do. Later, we see that Nick goes to London and Rafaela talks to Noah at Nick's apartment, as Noah has decided to move in with him. Rafaela insists that she won't allow it, but Noah confronts her about her blatantly obvious attempts to separate them. She tells Rafaela that now that she knows the truth, she feels free to love whoever she wants, without any conditions. She then asks her mother where she was and who she was with on the day her father tried to kill her. Elsewhere, we see Nick talking to his grandfather at a bar, asking him what happened to Briara, the crazy girl who used to harass him. His grandfather responds that the issue has been resolved and that she will never bother him again. After this, we see Nick and Sophia in the case, and they spend time together celebrating. However, someone secretly takes photos of them. When Nick finally returns home, he doesn't find Noah in his apartment, so he goes to the university to look for her. However, he discovers that she's talking to Michael, as Brera had arranged for Nick to be away at that exact moment. Here, Nick and Noah argue about what has been going on recently. Noah tells Nick that they should take some time apart, as they no longer trust each other, and their relationship is hurting both of them. Nick tells Noah that he has been offered a permanent position in London, and has 1 week to decide, but if she asks him to stay, he will. Noah replies that she will make her decision by the company's annual gala, which is exactly 1 week away. In the meantime, days go by and Sophia starts developing feelings for Nick, while Noah finds out that Nick was once Briar's boyfriend. On the other hand, Lion, who is facing financial difficulties, suggests that Nick do one last race on the day of the gala without the girls noticing it. It turns out that Rooney is also going to race that day because he will be released from prison, and Lion uses this to convince Nick to accept the offer. The day of the gala finally arrives, and while the girls are getting ready all day, the boys take the opportunity to escape before the ceremony starts and go to the race where Rooney and his brother were waiting for them. But suddenly, Jenna and Noah also appear and tell the boys that they were very stupid to think no one would notice during the race. Who happened to be there calls the police to have them arrested. This causes the race to spiral out of control, but in the end, Noah and Nick team up with Ree to make a sandwich and hand him over to the police again to be arrested for a while. In the end, Lion wins the race, and everyone returns to the gala as if nothing happened. This is when the real turning point occurs. Jenna breaks up with Lion because she feels that he doesn't love her for who she truly is. Meanwhile, the crazy Brera approaches Nick and asks why he never brought her to the gala. And Noah reveals to Nick that she already knows what happened between them. Amid all of this, we see Brera holding a knife, but it's only to open the door for Annabelle, who comes along with Brera to interrupt everything and surprise Noah, since they didn't want to listen to her the right way. Annabelle then shows, well, a DNA test, sheathed using his hairbrush, confirming that Maggie is his daughter. Annabelle's new husband had always suspected this and intended to kick them out. Annabelle tells, well, that she did all of this to secure her daughter's future. The thing everyone wants to know is how she got the brush. And here Noah reveals that it was her fault, as she was the one who let Annabelle into the house. Annabelle tells Nick that what the letter said is true, and she didn't abandon him. She was forced to. However, Nick is upset because the truth is that his father has lied to him his whole life. His grandfather is a monster, and his mother only wants to secure her daughter's future. He tells Noah that what he did is unforgivable, and that because of him, his family has fallen apart. With tears in his eyes, Noah tells him that he loves him and doesn't want to leave him. But Nick walks towards Sophia, breaking Noah's heart as he says that it's all over. Noah is devastated as Nick leaves with Sophia. Meanwhile, Rera shows Noah some old photos of Nick and Sophia to hurt him. Upset, Noah watches as Briara steals the keys to his apartment from his back. On the other hand, Lion advises Nick, making him realize that he's making a mistake with Noah, using the example that he couldn't last more than half an hour without Jenna, which helps them reconcile. This makes Nick return to the gala, where he encounters Briara. She confesses to him that when he abandoned her, she was pregnant and lost the baby due to the accident. She knows very well that it was his family's doing. Now she wants to make them pay for it. Nick asks her where Noah is, and she responds that he must be on his way to the apartment, hoping that he might even kill himself. Nick, in the rain, arrives at the apartment and enters, but Noah is not there because Briara had taken the keys. As a result, Noah is forced to go to Michael's house. He turns off his phone so he won't see Nick's messages and eventually ends up sleeping with Michael. After this, Noah regrets what she has done and leaves the apartment in the rain. She runs into Nick, who has been waiting for her. They look at each other in the middle of the rain, knowing that there is nothing left between them. Heartbroken, Noah continues on her way, while Nick angrily gets into his car and drives away. Meanwhile, their parents are terrified by the consequences of their actions and say that from now on, everything that happens to the kids will be their fault. The film ends with Noah sitting by her father's grave, where she receives a message from Nick telling her, "Noah, I will always be the light in your darkness."